Hey friend, Roger Christofferson here again with another first listen review. This week we are going with the brand new album from Stryper called The Final Battle. Now, Stryper is one of these bands that has been part of my life since I was like 15 years old. Back when I was in high school and bragging about how good I was on guitar when I really wasn't that good at all. I had a friend of mine in one of my classes asked me to come jam with his band, and when I got there I realized how good I wasn't when I saw how good these guys were playing. It was funny because the band was called Trinity, but there was four of us, and it was a Christian rock band, and I didn't know anything about Christian rock, and they introduced me to Stryper, who was like one of their biggest influences. And you know, back in the day, it was a lot of high-pitched vocals and lots of guitar, and I really got into the Stryper right from the start. So going all the way back, I've really followed these guys all the way along, and I never ever got to see them in concert until 2019. And the funny part is I saw them at a biker rally in Erie, PA. And it was an amazing show. I mean, I was not let down at all. Well worth the wait. Man, they put on a great show live, and they just sounded amazing. Michael Sweet could still hit all the notes. The guitar playing from Oz Fox was, I mean, Michael Sweet's a great guitar player too. And but they did a cover of a Crazy Train, and which I thought was kind of unique. They did a bunch of cover songs, and that was one of those they did, and Oz played that solo perfect to the T. I was like really impressed with that. So so I've just been really into these guys, and they've gone through a little bit of lineup change with the bass player there, with Timothy Gaines in and out, but the mainstay of the band, Michael Sweet and his brother Robert Sweet and Oz Fox have been like the main guys. They have Perry Richardson now, who was with the band Firehouse, who, funny enough, my band was actually supposed to play with, and I ended up breaking my wrist about a month before the show, and there was just no way I could heal up in time to do that show, and that's been one of those things that has bummed me out ever since. But at least I got to see him play with Stryper, and I didn't even get to go to the show. That's the worst part. So anyway, down to the review, I guess. The thing that I didn't like about Stryper in the past was their production was always like really slick on some of the songs, which I thought kind of weakened it, and with their background vocals, so like being really up front, I thought maybe always a little bit overproduced, took away a little bit of the feel of the song. I always kind of, even right from the start, I always kind of thought that. This in the production on like the All Black Attack and Soldier on the Command was kind of like, I don't know, I didn't think it was very good. The Hell with the Devil, they got a little bit better production there, but then of course they put in the sing-along song on there. I don't know, I was never a fan of that. I always went for the heavier songs. There is no sing-along song on this new album, by the way. There's nothing on this that slightly resembles the sing-along song, or honestly for that matter. There is nothing on this album that is mellow. This is a rocker start to finish. And that's not a bad thing at all. I was impressed with how well Michael Sweet sang on this record. The notes he's hitting here, he hasn't lost anything. In fact, I think his voice sounds stronger. He always had this thing, I used to call it the Bruce Dickinson effect, where some singers can get away with singing a little off pitch and still sound great doing it. Bruce Dickinson, not always perfectly on key, but he still sounds great. And back in the day, Michael Sweet kind of did the same thing. Now he's singing perfectly on pitch, I think, on this album. I don't know if there's any auto-tune in there or not. I couldn't really detect any, but I know a lot of people use that nowadays. So there's a possibility of that, but if they use it, it didn't really stand out. So getting into it, it starts out with the song Transgressor, which just, if you like riffs and power chords, then you're going to love that song. It just kind of starts out, Stryper has this thing where they come up with some cool riffs, and then they just, in the verses, they hold the power chords, and they just kind of sing a cool melody over the top of just the chords, and that works for them. that's how the album kicks off. See No Evil, Hear No Evil is in the same vein. Great guitar playing on this too. I mean, I guess I didn't read along to see who was playing what on which one, which I probably should have now looking back. But anyway, the guitar playing is just, you have the harmony solos that they as a signature Stryper thing. So you get that a lot going on this album too. The only thing that actually harkened back to me at all on this album to like the earlier days was the song Same Old Story, and not really in a good way. That's kind of reminded me of the the sing-along song a little bit, and it wasn't a super catchy song. Sometimes they just did that, just album filler, and that's kind of how I felt about this one. And it felt like an album filler from like the early days, so that one didn't like sit too well with me. Heart and Soul is kind of the mellow song maybe on this album, and it was still a rocker. It was good. Near, also, right in the same vein. Up, Out, and In, I didn't care for too much. It kind of has that shouty vocal thing where they just kind of, just yell out the words sometimes, but musically good. Rise to the Call was a rocker. I know I'm doing this kind of fast, but I think I spend a little bit too much time on some of these other ones, and I had some people commenting on that, so I'm trying not to dwell on each song too long on this one. Rise to the Call anyway was another rocker. I mean, just straight ahead with a really cool opening riff. A lot of these songs start with drums too, by the way, like drum intros. Now, The Way, the Truth, and the Life starts out with a kind of a cool riff, but it does one of the things that I don't like about songs, and that's where they sing along exactly with the guitar part, where that's this and he's singing right along with that, and it just kind of like, I don't know, I'm not a fan of that type of thing. It seems kind of lazy to me, and I just don't like the way it sounds. And this song was probably along with the Same Old Story, this was probably also one of the weaker ones. Luckily, there really aren't any other weaker ones. No Rest for the Wicked, another rocker. It's got a really cool, gave me almost sorry, I'm still getting over my cold a little bit here, but No Rest for the Wicked gave me a kind of a, I don't know why, but it gave me like a Dio Black Sabbath-y type feel to it. And Till Death Do Us Part also had like the cool, it wasn't like a riff type song, but it had the power chords kind of playing the riff, kind of like Living After Midnight was all power chords, but that is a riff, even though this sounds nothing like that song. It's kind of that same idea. Also has a killer, that's one of the best guitar solos on the whole album is in that one. And then it just ends with a screamer, Ashes to Ashes. I remember seeing a video of some sort for that one. I think it was just a lyric video, but I did see that. It was like the only thing I saw actually ahead of any of this, and so I was familiar with that one. But overall, just a rocking album. It's probably out of the ones they've done over the past few years, because let's be honest, there's a few in the middle there that are sort of Now, the last one they came out with, Even the Devil Knows, I thought that was a great album. Even the Devil Believes, I misspoke. I think that one, probably has some better songs on it. Although the performance on this album is great, I don't think it has the best songs that they've had out in a while. But Even the Devil Believes had some great performances on it. And some clever lyrics, which I like good lyrics. I don't like cheesy lyrics. I think one thing that in their career I didn't like, they kind of, back in the early days when they had To Hell with the Devil was a little controversial. Well, that one didn't bother me so much. They had an album before, Even the Devil Believes, with an album title that even I'm not comfortable saying, even though I get where they were coming from. And that's kind of one thing I don't like. I don't want to be kind of like wincing at all when I'm, singing songs for God. So that seemed a little bit, I don't know, they probably could have done something different there, although I'm going back in time. There's none of that on this album, so no worries there. I just think overall I would probably rate this like a 7 out of 10. A couple weak songs on there. Overall they're good. Nothing really new that we haven't heard from them, unfortunately. I mean, there was nothing really groundbreaking. It's just, it sounded like like what I wanted to hear maybe after, like, even In God We Trust, I would say probably that was a little bit overproduced in my opinion. So, like, if it came a little bit after To Hell with the Devil, kind of feels like it would fall in that vein more. Because let's face it, Against the Law was kind of not good. So if they had not gone down that road, this album would fit like right in with that, and along the lines of Even the Devil Believes. There's a lot there in the middle I didn't care for. Fallen was okay. So this is better than, those, and, all that stuff. Let's not even talk about the covering, but I know I might get some flack for saying that, but holy cow, some of those covers are not very good. So anyway, tell me what you guys think about this album. I'd love to hear your feedback. It's just one of those bands it's been around forever, and I just love to keep hearing good stuff, and it's good to hear that they're still putting out good music, even though it's nothing like new, it's still good music. So I don't know, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff I always talk about, and please leave your comments. I love hearing about what you guys think about this stuff, and I'll talk to you guys later.